45, and I'm laughing about this because he is probably the most disliked coach by his own fan base in the conference, but he's better than they give him credit for. 5 is Clay Helton. Get over it, USC fans. He's better than you give him credit for. You don't like him. Every year you root for him to be fired, but he's entering his 7th year. He is a fact of life. He started in 2015 with a partial year when Steve Sarkisian went on his leave of absence. So he's been at SC actually since 2010, various assistant coaching positions, 2 stints actually as an interim head coach, which is kind of, I mean, the man's got staying power. He doesn't want to leave the school, and the school has no intention of leaving him anytime. But look, you look at a guy who's been there 11 years, who understands the USC mentality better than this guy. He's seen coaches come and go. He's been through a change in president at the university. He's been through changes in athletic director, 2 changes of athletic director during his tenure. So who gets it better than he does? He's 45-23 overall. He's 36-12 in the conference. SC fans, like I said, they hate him. The allegations against him from SC fans are that he underperforms with the talent he has. With the recruiting that he does, with the recruits he gets, he should do better. He's won the Pac-12 South title 3 times. He's finished second another 2 times, and he's finished third once. And here is the knock, and this is a legitimate knock. He's 1-3 in postseason play, and that's not going to cut it at SC. Really, if his teams don't make the Tier 1 bowl game, they tend to flatline at the end of the season. He tends to have a hard time holding the locker room together and keeping them motivated to play in the Holiday Bowl or the Sun Bowl or the Alamo Bowl. If it's not the Rose Bowl or, playoff game, which they haven't made, they tend to have a little bit of an emotional meltdown. So his one big win postseason is the 2016 Rose Bowl game against Penn State. He won the division last year, but the school had already committed to no postseason play, wrap it up, call it a season because of COVID. His recruiting class this year is outstanding. It's 8th in the country, 2nd in the conference. He lost a lot of talent to the skill positions. Another 2-3 wide receivers gone to the NFL. Lost a starting left tackle. So we'll see what he can do, but he's got a lot of talent coming in. The issue, again, is how he finishes the season. He struggles finishing strong.
Now, I do have Clay Helton down at 7, but you're right. He takes so much abuse from USC fans. They just think that he is just garbage, and right? He's not.
He's not.
He won a Rose Bowl. That team in 2016, he really pulled it together. Yeah. They got clubbed by Alabama out of the gate. They had to go to Utah on like a Thursday or Friday night. He's still trying to figure out who his quarterback is.
Right.
He figures out that it's Darnold. Right. They play a great game, but they lose at the wire. They're 0-2 out of the gate.
Yep.
And by the end of that season, they had beaten Washington, the college football playoff representative from the conference, by 2 scores. They ripped off whatever it was, 10 or 11 consecutive wins, beat a really good Penn State team in the Rose. That team was really good.
At the end of the season that year, frankly, they were probably one of the top 2 teams in the country.
Yeah.
They weren't going to get that look because of the 2 losses at the beginning of the season, but the way they were playing at the end of the season, they were one of the 2 best teams in the country.
And then they follow that up with an actual Pac-12 championship, even though the team wasn't as good. They won the Pac-12. The knock against him, again, it's not winning at USC, Pete Carroll, John Robinson, John McKay level by any stretch. But 36-12 in the conference, as you outlined, that's 3 out of that's 75%. That's it's strong. I am going to say, though, to back up statistically the point that you made, against big opponents, they play in a Cotton Bowl against Ohio State, and they're not competitive. A couple of years there against good Notre Dame teams, not competitive.
Right.
11-15 against ranked teams.
Right.
So a large portion of that's against the conference ranked teams.
Right.
And not playing well.
Well, and again, it's we're talking about the year they beat Penn State in the Rose Bowl and they finished really strong. And when you look at his years, that turns out to be an aberration. They often don't finish strong. Some of those Notre Dame games that are at the end of the season, at the Coliseum, and they don't finish strong, or they don't finish strong in a bowl game that isn't a premier level bowl game. So it's those last 2 to 3 games per year on a regular basis that tend to come back to haunt him.